Speaking of our friends to the north, and kids in cages, I'm terrible at segues tonight. Matthew's going to talk to us about Christians and churches being in cages in Canada.
Yes.
Canada. Those
Out in
nice
Canada.
folk.
Canada.
Those nice folk, eh?
Hey, out in Alberta, Canada, we have a church out there called Grace Life, and there's a lot of people that are kind of angry because the local authorities put up some fencing around the church. And even the people that were coming out to protest this whole thing actually decided the fact that they weren't even church members, but they were just there to cause trouble. So no church members were here, only Alberta Canadians, man. And they're there trying to tear things down. Look at all that. So peaceful. Canadians. Everybody said sorry after.
Yeah, they knocked over a fence and said sorry.
Hey man, you shouldn't
All
be
my-
doing that. That church is not to be trifled upon. Sorry about that, bro.
All my Canadian
right.
colleagues are gonna scream me for this.
All right, so
But I should at least tell you that it is, Pastor James Coates was in jail for 35 days in a maximum security prison in chains for 35 days. Because he defied the local orders of no churches whatsoever to be open, but they had Easter services anyway. They said, our God and King is higher than you, Alberta, Canada. And Alberta, Canada said, try me. And we'll find out how Alberta, Canada fares out in the final judgment. So we should also know that whenever we're talking about the thing, you have to remember, this is what I was teasing out before, when it comes to churches in cages, children in cages, or not moving them to other facilities, or unlawful, unrighteous deaths by police officers, you have to remember through all of this, the thing is not really about the thing. The thing is about control. And as we're going through our Libertarian Christian podcasts and videos, we try to make this lighthearted, but you have to understand that when you're dealing with anything about the government or anything that sounds crazy or anything that just does not make sense, you have to look at the fact that who in the end is going to try and maintain the control or at least hold on to those reins of power. And that's the issue that you need to fight. Don't fight about the thing. Look past the thing and recognize that this is about control more than anything.
But what about the virus?
Put that out the window. It is about the virus. No more all the time now. Nothing else. It's the virus.
The Stoic philosophers.
Ironic that the virus is now the trump card of the left.
I'm going to play the virus card. Anyway, go ahead.
I think it's kind of interesting to tie what you're saying, Matthew, into some of the stuff that you hear from Stoic philosophers like Epictetus, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, to where often they implore their readers, or in some sense themselves, as they're often writing in many respects to themselves at times, that you have a sphere or a locus of control about you. Mm-hmm. There are only a certain number of things that you have true control over in your life. Mm-hmm. The first and foremost of which is that they will call your ruling reason. Mm-hmm. That is that you have control over your own mind. The choices that you make there ripple out into the world around you. And this, I think, plays very well into the type of philosophy that we hear from folks like Jeff Tucker or others in our libertarian circles, who we talk about, we may not be able to change everything about the world around us, but what we can do is we can make one improved unit in the world. That's me. Mm-hmm. I can change me. Yeah. And then the more you can expand out of that to your sphere of influence, your locus of what you can influence, the better off you're going to be. But you have to start inward. Yep. And that's, again, pretty congruent with the Christian philosophy as well. That
work out your salvation with fear and trembling.
Yep. Yeah. And it's interesting. Yeah. Working out your salvation, like that has to start with you. Like if you suddenly try to gain the whole world, yet forfeit your soul, what have you done? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nothing. Yeah. So consider that as we go forward here, that all these things that we talk about, we don't have a lot of necessarily influence over policy that's coming out of DC right now. But we can try to shift ourselves. We can change who we are. And then if we can just, maybe go from being our one improved unit to maybe improving a quarter of a unit somewhere else. And then a quarter
when it comes to somebody trying to control you, just say no.
Yep.
Well, I would say that is a good way to end. And thank you for joining us. We try to do these every 2 weeks. If you want more from the Libertarian Christian Institute, subscribe. And of course not. Of course they would. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, but also find us, the Libertarian Christian Podcast, on all of your podcatchers. That's such an awkward word to say.
Find us on iTunes, Spotify,
clever,
Podcast Addict, whatever you want to do.
Podcast Addict.
Addict.
Or Podcast Basement. I mean,
there's one of those two somewhere. I'm sure.
We're just gonna say no to more jokes about this.
Yeah, we're done now.
Start up